Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ben, and in this episode of the Smoking Hot Confessions BBQ Podcast, we're chatting to a guy who loves to talk about barbecue almost as much as I do. Hey family, I hope you're well wherever you are and you got that thin blue smoke rolling. Today we're jumping all the way across to the UK and we're chatting with Ryan Guinea, the host of the BBQ Talks Podcast. And as I did say right at the start there, he loves to talk about barbecue almost as much as I do. So we're going to get some killer conversation here for you tonight. Now before we get into that, I do have a couple of announcements I need to run by you. The first is that our podcast partner program is now well and truly underway. We've been working with Jagged, we've been working with Ozpig, and we've been working with Heat Beads, and I've got some interesting data that I'm able to put before you now. So in case study number 1, there was 5 episodes were partnered through our Gold program. We achieved a total number of views and listens of 51,000 for a total reach or exposure of that brand of 171,000. And then in the second case study, we did even better. We got a total number of views and listens of 82,506 for a total reach of 241,542. So if you're out there, you're watching this, you're listening to this, you've got a barbecue brand, you'd like to get your message out there, and your values and your business practices align with ours, send us a message, hit us up, and we'll talk about getting you into our partnership program. Now, if you are just at the beginning of your journey, we do have the Beginner's Guide to Real Barbecue available for you right now over on our website, smokinghotconfessions.com. It's been awarded by the NBBQA, so it's a really good read. It's completely free for you. Head on over there, check it out, grab yourself a copy of that. And a big welcome this evening to those of you that are joining us in the Smoking Hot Confessions barbecue community. If you're not there yet, do come and join us. It's the friendliest little corner of the internet. All the guff is left at the door. We just hang out, talk barbecue, and of course we do record these live podcasts in there. So if you are with us this evening, it's nearly 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, so, most of us are in lockdown anyway. You can't go out, so you might as well jump online and watch a barbecue podcast. Do pop some questions into the comments underneath the live video so we can put them to Ryan during the show. If you do catch the replay later on YouTube, do help us out. Give us the thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that little notification bell. Over on Facebook, it's all about the likes, the comments, and the shares. We do have IGTV as well. We do publish there, so like, comment, and follow on our IGTV channel. And if you are listening on a podcast app, particularly if it's Apple Podcasts, do take just a couple of seconds, give us a rating and review. It really helps us climb those charts. And once again, in the last 30 days, we've been as high as number 6 on the US food podcast charts and as high as number 3 in the Australian charts. And all that comes down to those ratings and reviews. So thank you very much. We do appreciate that. It's very helpful. Now, the BBQ Talks Podcast Show. I've been waiting to get Ryan on here for some time now. I did write an article about him for the Barbecue News magazine based out of Georgia in the United States. It's a great show. It's one of my favourite ones to tune into, and you absolutely should be listening to that, as well as listening to mine and all those other ones that you do love out there as well. Add that to your playlist. It's a great show, and he's got some great stories, and we're going to find out all about what the UK barbecue scene is like today. So that's going to be pretty cool. But I think that's all you need to hear out of me. I think it's time to get Ryan in here.
This is the internationally awarded Smoking Hot Confessions Barbecue Podcast with your host, Ben Arnott. How long's it been since your last confession?
Hello, Ryan, my friend. It is good to see you again. How are you?
I'm real good, mate. It's lovely. First off, thank you for having us on your podcast. Much appreciated. Really looking forward to a good bit of conversation about barbecue and live fire cooking. And hello, Australia. Nice to be talking to you all, and hope you like to listen.
Yeah, well, we're starting to draw a crowd there in the Facebook community. I can see we've got nearly a dozen people live with us already. And it's, as I said before, it's 10 o'clock on a Saturday night for us. So that's pretty good. Most people are either in bed or, as I said before, we're all pretty much in lockdown now. So 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, we're all pretty much in bed at the moment. So, mate, it's great that we've got those people joining us here. So, mate, the first thing that I always ask everybody is, what was the last thing that you barbecued?
Oh, the last thing I barbecued. I made up some chicken kebabs, I think, the other day. I've got a friend, he gave me some homemade sauce from where is he from? It's like an Asian homemade sauce. I marinated the chicken, put it on skewers, chucked it on the barbie. I'll tell you what, it was some of the nicest chicken I've eaten for a while. He's actually sent me the recipe. I'm going to make some up and then do a video with it. I think everybody needs to know that recipe because it's a really good one. It was a good sauce.
Yeah, I think the humble kebab stick has almost been forgotten at times in the barbecue scene. But I really think it needs to come back because I love it. I love a good kebab stick.
Well, it's so simple and quick and easy to do as well for a midweek cook. Sling a bit of chicken or lamb on if you want, and marinate it before you go to work. Come home, bang, you've got yourself a really nice kebab or however you want to eat the chicken. It's really good, really, really tasty. I can recommend it. Or with any sort of what else did I have? I barbecue about 3 or 4 times a week, so I think the chicken was probably the last one I had. Pork chops, I just put some Uncle Steve Shake from the US. He's got some good products over there, so he sent me some. I think it was competition pork powder. And I put that on it, just plain pork chops. I done it on a gas grill. I've got a gas. Sorry, I know it's a gas grill, but it's easy for a midweek cook. You know what I mean? I cook on everything. I don't really care if you're outside and you're cooking. It's barbecue to me.
Mate, this is Smoking Hot Confessions. If your confession is that you cook on gas, that's fine. You're in the right place. Now, I do have a bit of a question that's a bit of a sidetrack. You're talking about kebabs there before. I don't know if this is a food style in England, but here in Australia, we're quite the multicultural society. So we've got kebabs, which are the skewers, and then we've got the Lebanese or the Libyan style kebabs, which are the flat circular bread with some shaved meat put in the middle and then some salad on top, wrapped up, grated about 3 in the morning after a night out on the beers. We also call them kebabs. So do you have the 2 food types with the same name over in England?
Yeah, we do. The dirty kebab, if you like, is the 3 o'clock one in the morning when you're coming back after a good few beers, well oiled up, and then you got your skewers and like your what's the word? I wouldn't say more recognizable meat. Would probably be the easier way to put it than your, like we call them, the elephant leg over here. You generally go to a kebab van and it could be anything you're eating, but you've had so many beers you don't really care as long as it's covered with chili sauce and a salad. It all tastes good,
Yeah. I went to university down in Newcastle, actually, in New South Wales, and there's a really famous tram down there, Harry's Pies. And that was where you always stopped at about 3 o'clock in the morning. You'd get yourself a good Aussie meat pie with a big dollop of mashed potato on top, some mushy peas, and then they'd sort of push the spoon down into the peas to create like a little hole, and then fill that up with gravy. And that would get you sorted after a big night on the beers.
What is it about Australians and pie? When I was out there, pies, it's almost like, everything goes in a pie. Or you can, like, I've seen like pie sandwiches and stuff like that. It's all sorts.
Yeah, we do love it. We are quite creative. We do love to get in it, and then using all your barbecue leftovers in a pie is quite popular at the moment. Now, I know that you spent a little bit of time living here in Australia. Did you ever visit Kmart when you were here?
No, I might have passed through it. To be fair, I didn't live over it. I just sort of like travelled up and down a little bit and around.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Kmart is kind of like a quick and cheap little sort of department store type thing. And the Kmart pie maker has become an absolute cult hit over here. There's massive Facebook groups dedicated to the Kmart pie maker. That's how much we love our cheap electronic appliances and various department stores. And we love our meat pies.
Yeah, I certainly remember the meat pies. When we first come over, we stayed in Sydney, and it was in the Cross area of Sydney, which is like, well,
wow,
it was cheap as you could find, because we didn't have much money, and we like our daily. Well, we didn't really have a commute. It was like waking up on UK time, going out for a beer. There'd be sort of like ladies of the night congregating around, and we got on I wouldn't say we got on first name terms, but we got quite friendly with them because we was just English guys wandering backwards and forwards to the pub.
Young English backpackers, I'm sure you were very friendly.
Yeah, it was literally like no shenanigans went on, but we just got quite. They were fascinated. So look at the weird English guys. Like, what are they doing? And like we were just all crazy, smash drunk at the time, all the time, literally all the time.
Yeah, for a couple of months there when I first moved back to Australia, I was living in my great aunt had bought one of the old army barrack apartments from the Vietnam War era in Elizabeth Bay next to the Cross. And
Right.
I don't know if you ever made it down into Elizabeth Bay when you were here, but it's really strange. Like King's Cross is kind of dark and dirty and dingy and gross. And you literally reach the end of the street and turn left around the corner into Elizabeth Bay. And, you know, there's a gentleman at the bottle shop standing in a three-piece suit with a bow tie and a tray full of drinks saying, "Good evening, sir. Would you like to sample some wine?" And you walk inside and it's, you know, $500 bottles of wine. And literally just around the corner, there's ladies of the night offering you their services as well as you're stepping over syringes to try and get to Elizabeth Bay. So that's I know the area that you're referring to pretty well.
Yeah, we sort of learnt it pretty good, and yeah, we stayed there for a little while, then moved on. It was just somewhere to stay. I remember we ended up in an apartment block on the harbour, but it's not as nice as it sounds. It was almost like a derelict building. So one of my first nights in Australia was spent in this building with cockroaches everywhere, and like, I didn't even want to lay on the floor, but I was so exhausted from the travel from the UK to Australia. I was like, "Oh man, welcome to Oz."
Yeah.
Like I'd done my sleeping bag so tight, I couldn't. Like I was like, oh, and the roaches were massive on the walls. It's sort of like a real vivid memory, but good times though. Really, really good times. So once we broke out of Sydney and headed up, it was fantastic.
It's definitely a good part of the world to come and visit there. So, mate, tell me, you've obviously quite the barbecue fan. You know, you've got your own podcast show. I'd imagine that you're like me. You've got several different barbecues out in the backyard. What's your favourite barbecue to cook on?
Oh, it's kind of asking about. That's saying what's your favourite child. You know what I mean? It's like I would say probably my UDS. I built it from scratch out of an old drum and plumbing parts. So it's nice to say, yeah, I made this and I'm cooking on it. This is my thing. A close second would probably be. Oh, there's so many to choose. I've got a UDS. I've got a couple of Weber kettles. I've now got a flat top, which is really fun to cook on as well. Obviously, I've got my gasser for the midweek, but yeah, I'll probably say UDS is probably the most fun. Followed by my Weber with a rotisserie is like quite easy.
Yeah, there's a lot you can do with the Weber kettle, isn't there?
It's the most diverse cooker, I think, especially if you're starting out. You know, everyone's got to get a Weber. You cut your teeth on them, so it's the way you got to go, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now let's circle back to this UDS. Now you said that you built it yourself from a drum and plumbing parts. Did you just sort of have a crack and just sort of work it out as you're going along, or did you buy a kit from somebody? Did you look up different plans? How did you go apart that How did you go about that project?
Well, I work in engineering by trade, so I'm quite handy. So I've done a load of research on YouTube. There's like a magic dimension, if you like. Your firebox has got to be roughly a meter away from where you're cooking, so you get that good indirect heat. But then, I just watched a load of videos as I spoke to you earlier about this guy, Daddy Cooks. He made an interesting video. He done all the measurements with a dollar, so sort of like a dollar bill. He just used it as a fixed dimension, and then if he wanted to change the dimension, he just folded it in half or quartered it. So then you've still got your fixed dimensions, which keeps it uniform, which is what you want. You want equal spacing for airflow, obviously, so you can control it easier. But yeah, that's what I done. I sort of went out, started up a UDS group in England. That's Ugly Drum Smokers Barbecue UK. I started that up as literally just somewhere to take notes and keep a record of where I was at and see what was working and what wasn't working. And people started to join and offered advice. and yeah, that's sort of grown pretty well. It's not a massive Facebook group, but there's a lot of good people in there with a lot of good advice. If you want to learn how to build a drum, it's a place to go in the UK or in the world. Everyone's welcome. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
back to how I built it. It's sort of like I can. So I've got friends who weld. I've got friends who do all sorts of stuff. Just got a drill and went at it, really, painted it, and that was that. It's not rocket science. They're really easy things to make and completely stable to cook on. I'd say it's probably easily one of the best things to cook barbecue on, or certainly the easiest things to cook barbecue on. Because once you get the airflow right, you can just set it and forget it and wander off, and 8 hours later you come back and it's still going. Like, I've had 16-hour cooks out of that thing and not had to adjust anything. That's just lump in
Wow.
a basket with a couple of vents open, you know. As long as it doesn't get too windy or the temperature doesn't drop, you're golden.
Yeah, that's impressive, man. Yeah. So what's your favorite thing to cook in the drums then? Like, do you find that it lends itself to a particular protein?
I would probably say my favourite is beef short ribs for sure. You know, I've never had the best results with brisket because over here the brisket is like really lean. Like if you want good brisket, you got to get Australian or UDS.
Aussie, Aussie, Aussie.
But to be honest, they're really really expensive over here because obviously you got to ship them. So short ribs are always good. Beef chuck is good as well. That's sort of very similar to brisket, but a lot cheaper. Because I wouldn't say I'm frugal, but you know, you got to look after the pennies. The pounds will look after themselves. You know what I mean? So yeah, beef ribs, chuck roast, pork butt. That's an easy win all the time. If you got a load of people coming over, chuck a couple of pork butts in the drum. I normally do that overnight, pull it out, and you can yeah, you got the party to enjoy instead of standing over a grill and cooking. Because that's what you find if you generally if you're having a party you're cooking like what I said earlier, kebabs or burgers or anything like that, you kind of chain to your barbecue area. Whereas if you're smoking overnight, you can just sort of like, it's all done, prep it beforehand, pull it out, there's your pulled pork, chuck up the sausage on for the kids, you're golden, you're good. You just crack open a beer and away you go.
Well, you see, now, ironically, I actually have like a little bit of social anxiety, which is funny given that I work on stage presenting to crowds and all that sort of stuff. But like in a social situation, I actually get really uncomfortable. So I prefer to be chained to my barbecue area, working on my barbecue, and then other people that are into barbecue can come and talk to me at the barbecue area about barbecue, and then I'm fine.
Oh, that's really interesting. You know, you sort of present great big barbecue shows and things like that. It's social anxiety. So
I've got no issue jumping up on stage. I used to play guitar and sing in bars and stuff. But yeah, like an actual social engagement, social situation, I get quite uncomfortable. It's bizarre. It's really strange.
it is. Well, when you think, you know, we're thousands of miles apart on the other side of the globe, and we're having a conversation like we've known each other for ages. So it's, you know, it's for me. I can chat to anyone about anything. Generally, sometimes it's not a good thing. My mouth opens before my brain engages, but 9 times out of 10, I'm all right, you know. But I even my wife, it's like we wander around the supermarket, and I start talking to someone because I think I know them, but actually they've got no idea who I am. They just look familiar, but I just chat and chat and chat, and they're like, "Who are you?"
Yeah, yeah. They've sort of gathered their children in behind them, and they're standing there, sort of between you and the kids. And
Yeah, pretty much.
nice,
I'm that
nice.
guy.
Yeah. Now let's loop back to these briskets. You said that that the briskets are typically lean and expensive. So here in Australia, most of the time in the past, when we were looking at briskets, you'd get a rolled brisket, which was a flat that had been rolled for like a pot roast. It was a really long time before we were able to start getting packer briskets, which is the point and the flat together. How do they come to
Yeah.
you? Do they come to you separate? Do they come to you as packers? And what sort of size is an average brisket over in the UK?
Generally, if you want a brisket, you've got to go and like you make friends with your butcher. You pop down and like there's online stores as well you can go to. In fact, a guest I had on, I think it was last week, James Jail Butchers in the UK. They supply lots of good quality barbecue meats for barbecue competitions around the UK. You can order that online and they'd ship it to you. But equally, I've got a couple of good butchers near me because I live in the countryside, so it's quite rural and, well, for want of a better word, it's posh. I'm not posh, but I live in a posh area. So there's lots of butchers who are kind of fascinated by me because I go along and I want all of the cuts no one wants. So it's like, it's good for me because everyone's going there looking for the beef sides or the nice sort of like beef cuts. And I say, oh, have you got any brisket? Yeah, we've got brisket. All right. So what part of the brisket have you got? And they generally pull out like the flat and it's all rolled up, stuffed with stuff. I was like, no, I don't want that bit. I want the bit you turn into burgers. And they're like, you what? So I've got really friendly with a couple of them, and now if I want one, I'll go there and they say, oh, ring us up on a Tuesday and you can come and get a whole brisket. But generally it's not packaged up, it's cut. It'll be aged and cut. And they cut it to how you want it. So and it's not overly expensive because it's not a really, well, it's gone up a lot because obviously barbecue's growing in the UK. But when I first started doing it, everybody was like, what do you want that for? I said, oh, I'm going to smoke it. What do you mean you're going to smoke it? I'm going to stick it in a barbecue and it's going to sit there for 12 hours or however long it takes until it's done. And then I'm going to eat it. You're like, all right. So you're not going to like put it in a crock pot or nothing like that. It's like, no, that's what I'm going to do. But yeah, so it's been, especially for my area, it's like no one really, there's a few people around me that cook low and slow, but it's very few and far between. So at the minute it's rich pickings for me in the butchers.
Yeah, that's interesting. So your butchers are still like real old school butchers that are breaking down the animals out the back. They're not bringing in boxes of prepackaged meat and just opening the boxes.
I think they bring in sides of meat. I don't think they get the whole beast, but they do get a fair amount because like, they've got the cabinets and you can see where they are and where they're at, and they're breaking down the beast depending on, well, generally beef they display because that looks a little bit more impressive, or lamb looks good as well, I must admit. But yeah, they generally are breaking down animals in the shops. In my area, I think that's probably more of an exception than the rule. Because obviously supermarket meat's big over here. I'm sure it must be over there as well. If people can go and get a pork butt for a couple of quid, they go and do that. But I do, if I want something special, I go to the butchers, and I always buy short ribs from a butcher. Always buy brisket when I get it, because I'll be honest, I'm not the strongest brisket cook in the world. I've done a couple. They've been mediocre at best. But then I get the chuck roast and I find similar taste and it cooks a lot easier. So why make life difficult? And it's less expensive.
Yeah, hard to argue with that. Yeah. I'm making a series of barbecue videos at the moment, so I'm spending a bit of time at my local butcher, and the price of meat here at the moment is incredible. So you were just talking about how you've seen a bit of a rise in the price of brisket. I've seen a staggering rise in the price of brisket in the last 6 years since I got into this. No, a bit more than that, almost 10 years now. Brisket was $8 a kilo. Now it's $25 a kilo. And I went to get a brisket the other day and I couldn't get one for less than $150, which I think is probably about 75, 80 pounds, I think. Just looking at the exchange rate on Google here. And the short ribs that we were talking about come in 2 packs with 3 bones in each rack. So, sorry, 2 racks in a pack, 3 bones in each rack. So 6 bones. They're just come in just under $100.
No way.
Yeah.
Sure. How much? The last, but like again, I sort of buy it and it's cut to order. But the last set of short ribs I got, I think I paid about £25, and that was for the free set, and they were big ones as well. They were really meaty. I had to how'd you get the short ribs over there? Did they have the brisket on the top, or is the brisket cut off when you get yours?
Most of our low and slow cuts are all pre-packaged, so there's not very many stores at all anymore which are actually breaking down animals in the back, and so they're arriving in cartons, vacuum sealed, and it's literally just they're 30 centimeters square sort of chunks of meat with 3 bones in the back, and then about 6 centimeters of meat all the way across the top.
Okay. So generally, when we get them over here, that well, you obviously don't because you haven't. There's like you have like a very thin layer of brisket across the top of the short ribs, and then you've got like the fatty layer with the sinew on, and then you sort of like cut that off, and you get down into the rib meat, which is generally pretty well marbled anyway. So when we buy a short rib, it's always got a really thin layer of brisket and the sinew on top. Not brisket, short rib, sorry. So what you got to do is you got to take off the brisket and then the sinew, because obviously different types of meat cook at slightly different rates, because otherwise it sort of gets really springy on top, and generally it just burns and goes nasty anyway. So you've got to really sort of cut it down. I've asked them a few times, they just won't cut that layer off. I think it's just for the weight, you know what I mean? They see that as that cut.
Got a project you'd like to work on with the SHC team? Shoot Ben an email on ben@smokinghotconfessions.com and let's have a conversation.
Alrighty, now let's jump into the BBQ Talks show, man. Tell us about that. When did you first kick? Well, actually, you know what? First of all, let's start off with why a podcast. Why did you get into podcasting?
Well, I sort of stumbled into it by accident, if I'm totally honest. How it all started out, let's start from the beginning. I started off with my Facebook group. Then I got to the stage where I was like, all right, I'll do a couple of lives. So I started doing a couple of lives on that, just through Facebook, when all of that started off. Then my laptop broke. I was like, all right. So I hooked up with my mate Matt. He's not a co-host anymore. He does a lot more of the stuff behind the scenes. So we hooked up with Matt and we started doing just like YouTube lives through the laptop and all that sort of stuff. It's not monetized, so I had to use a laptop with a webcam, etc. And then that just sort of like started to gain traction. A lot of people were sort of coming along and looking at it. So we decided, maybe we could turn this into a bit of a show, because basically all we were doing was going on, getting drunk and talking about barbecue, which is pretty much still the premise of the show on a Friday night. You go along, get some people in, have a few beers and get drunk and talk about barbecue. So as it progressed, we sort of like moved along, tried different formats, figured out different stuff to where you see the scene now. Before it was a green screen behind me. It was awful. It was terrible. Like you could move around. It looked like I had a halo around my head. Like anything reflecting, it looked like we had this. It looked, but at the time we thought it was really good, and we didn't really have any equipment. We were just using like the cell phone headphones and stuff like that, and we thought, we're doing a barbecue show, we're doing really good. Then we had this guy on called, his name's Jeff Rice, right? He's a good YouTuber, right? I had him, funnily enough, I had him on he was a guest last night on the show. He's sort of like a friend of the show. He's helped us out and he gave us a lot of advice, but that was like a eureka moment, or an epiphany, if you like. It was like, we're not that good, because this guy's come on. He's got like the Rode mic set up. He's got the lighting. It looks really nice. So the next day I was on Amazon buying a podcast mic and the lighting and some of the stuff you see behind you now. And I thought, well, I've got to up my game and I've got to sort of try and take it seriously. So that's what we've done. And we sort of like gradually progressed. We got we've been really lucky with guests, I'll be totally honest, considering our podcast as it is now is just over a year old. The guests we've had on have been totally amazing. We've been really, really lucky. I don't know if that's just because, but you know how the game works. You know, you probably message a ton of people and then you get not many messages back. But as you progress, you sort of like, the more people you message, the more people you know, the more people who want to come on, etc. And that's sort of like how it works. So we've just sort of like bit by bit turned into the slick machine that you can see nowadays, which is the BBQ Talks Show. Guy, in fact, one of the listeners is this. Yeah, it is opposite. Over there, you see the BBQ Talks Show. One of the guys who listens to the show, he sent me that sign. He's like, "Yeah, have this, use it for your show and stuff like that." I was like, "All right, yeah, it's really nice. Thank you very much." You know.
Oh wow, that was made by a fan.
Yeah, send it in.
That's awesome.
Mm. Yeah, he does all custom, like he makes grates and stuff over in the UK for like pancettas, like Weber's generally, or what you make whatever you want. He's not doing it at the minute, but he made that sign. He said, "Yeah, take it. Thanks. I really like your show." And it was like a gift. I was like, "Wow, what's going on?" People are sending me stuff. You know? So it's
Beautiful,
really,
man. That's so good. That means that you're touching people. That's what that means. People are making a personal connection with your show.
yeah, it's been a ride. You know, I've told you, I can talk the hind legs off a donkey. The only, like, I'm dyslexic, so I have anything writing, I'm pretty messed up, but I can talk and talk and talk some more. Whereas Matt, he's really technical. He can step in, he can do lots and lots of all sorts of cool stuff with the internet and all sorts of make loads of stuff up for Instagram and things like that and just share it. And I'm just the guy who talks. Matt's sort of like the brains behind the thing. And now we've got another couple of co-hosting as well, so we can sort of like rotate it a little bit and take a little bit of pressure off, because obviously you do shows all the time, you haven't got any time to do anything else, because it's a process, isn't it? You get once you have one guest in, you're thinking, okay, who's up next? We've got to do the questions for that, you've got to do the artwork for that, and you've got to get everything else sorted out. So it's almost like a job.
It is, yeah. For each 1 hour episode, there's easily 10 hours of work before and after. So
yeah,
it's crazy.
That's without the editing and all the rest of the stuff that goes into it. You know, it's like, mind you, I do find sound editing a lot easier than visual editing. That's quite
definitely, absolutely. I can get lost down a rabbit hole of video editing for so long. I was feeling really good. I was working on this week's beef rib video. I looked at the clock. It was midnight. I had to get up at 6:30 in the morning to go to work the next day. I went, that's okay. I've done so much today. And I looked at the actual project. I was 2 minutes into the project.
Oh, mate.
I spent like 4 hours like editing all this stuff and color grading it and working on the transitions and all that. 2 minutes. I was 2 minutes into the video. It's going to be about a 16-minute video.
That's a lot of work.
It is. There has to be a better way, but I will continue and I will get there in the end. So, man, tell me a bit about some of the different guests that you've had on the show. Who's been who's made you laugh? Who's entertained you?
Oh, that's a good question. I think all of the guests we've had on the show have been good in their own way. There's been a lot of interesting guys on. I'd say Meathead, obviously, you could listen to him for ages. In fact, I'd like to have him back on. I emailed him the other day and started a conversation. Then we've just got to hook back up and start that back up again. Definitely like to get Meathead back on. Christian Stevenson for DJ Barbecue. He was really good. Very easy interview. Very knowledgeable again. Who else? I'll have from Meat and Metal Barbecue. He's a Norwegian Traeger representative, and he's a really good, interesting guy, because obviously it's a lot different to how we cook. Like, he does low and slow barbecue, but equally as well on the back end of that, he's got the Norwegian way of cooking and everything's almost sort of like Viking-esque way of going about stuff. Obviously, the UK barbecue guys, we've got Marcus Bourdan. He's like a UK writer. He's been on a few times. A good friend of mine. He's been on 3 times. One, he come on to talk about his first book, Food and Fire. Then he was writing his new book, Skewered. So we followed his journey along. So he's he'd done his first book, second book he was writing and come on and told us about it. Third book he released. Well, he released that book, so he come on promoting it and stuff. So it was quite nice to get the journey of that book out and sort of how he went about doing it and the whole way of. And he's just started up a UK barbecue school. Again, really, really nice guy. Can you hear my chihuahua in the background?
Yeah, but that's okay.
They must have gone out. He's going mad.
That's all right. It's all good. We don't mind.
Yeah, sorry about that. I think
That's
they've
right.
gone out. But yeah, so another one, Philip Rillet, he's a really good Daddy Cooks YouTube channel. He's really good. We've had Pit Life Barbecue on a few times. They're friends at the show. They're really nice guys. Great podcast. Go check them out. What else? Maybe someone not so far away has been on the show very recently. There's so many people to mention. Like we go from like great big people you'd think you'd never speak to in a million years, right down to, well, not down to, but just the people with interesting stories. We spoke to a guy, Jorge, I think, Jerez. Barbecue along the way. Barbecue on the way, his name is. He had such an interesting story. He was born in South America, grew up in South America, worked in restaurants. Then he moved up to Canada, and then he sort of cooked up there for a little while. Then he moved across to Finland, and he cooked over there for a little while. And I thought,
Wow.
he sort of hit us up as, oh, can I come on your show? I was like, yeah, of course you can, because he sort of like gives us a little bit of what he done. And I thought, yeah, you'd be a really interesting interview, and he was brilliant. Like, there's so many. You don't need to be an international barbecue megastar to have a good story about how you cook barbecue. You just got to know how to cook barbecue, and if you want to know, we're going to talk to you. Like, I'm happy to hear a story from anyone who's got anything to say about cooking, especially over live fire and barbecue. I think it's a common thing around the world. I think it's really good.
Exactly, man. That's what it's all about, a good story. Now, speaking of a good story, there is one of your episodes that really did stand out to me. It was Russell Gill from Rusty Barbecue Co. And you and the lads got together and you discussed the important role that barbecue can play in mental health. So I was wondering if you could tell us a bit about that episode and what were some of the biggest takeaways for you from what Russell shared with you.
Well, yeah. Out of so the hashtag for that is hashtag Q Together. A lot of people are using that in the UK to help raise awareness for mental health in the UK. Like I'll be totally honest, I've had mental health problems. When I was younger, my mum died, and more recently, I had a nephew who died as well, and that just sort of like triggered a load of funny stuff in my head, brought a load of stuff back. So I went off for a bit of counselling and sorted myself out. You know what I mean? Because obviously your brain is like a muscle. If you don't train it, you know you've got to look after yourself. So Russ has come up with this idea of this Q Together thing, and he's really, really passionate about it. He's teamed up with a couple of mental health charities in the UK. One's called Mind, and the other one is called something else that I can't remember off the top of my head. I apologise for that. But Mind is the main one. And they basically actively help people with mental health issues. So if you've got a problem, you ring them up and they sort of like help you through it and direct you to some sort of counselling which you need, or whatever fits your particular problem. And I'm really passionate about it. I think everybody deserves to be listened to and helped, because if you don't reach out to someone, or say it only takes someone to say how you're doing, like, you know, and then you get the standard, oh yeah, I'm good, and then you can go, oh well, actually, how are you doing, just to reinforce that. And then you might actually find out, well, actually they're not that good and they might need a little bit of help. And if they do, you should always sort of just a little arm around the shoulder to help people out makes a big difference. You know, sometimes a little bit goes a long way. And it's always worth asking that question, because if you can see someone that isn't necessarily looking on point or at the top of their game, it could be something and it could be nothing. You've just got to ask the question, and you shouldn't be afraid of asking the question. And I don't think there should be any sort of stigma around mental health, because, as I said, your brain's a muscle. If you go to the gym, you work out, it's the same with your mind. If you don't do that, you know, sometimes funny things can happen to people.
Yeah, no one's going to judge you when you say, oh, look, I'm sorry, I can't have a beer, I'm having some problem with my kidneys. But yeah, there's no stigma attached to that. So I agree with you. There shouldn't be any stigma around this either. And we're starting to find a lot of people starting to do some work with barbecue and mental health here in Australia. And I think for me, particularly for men's health, it's not exclusively men, of course. Barbecue is open to everybody. That's not what I'm saying. but men in particular, we don't tend to speak about that sort of stuff unless we're gazing into the fire. Can't make direct eye contact with anybody when we're talking about this stuff, but we'll stare into a fire and we'll start talking about stuff. So I agree that there's quite a big connection there, and it's important, and we need to get the message out there. So I really enjoyed that episode that you guys did there as well. I thought that was just great.
Oh, thank you. It's very, very kind of you to say so. You know, anybody who wants to do any sort of link up with Australia, UK, I'm sure, hit us up and we can put you through to Russ or contact Russ directly. That, you know, the more people who get involved, the stronger we are, and the easier it will be to attach, make connections, and lose the stigmatism behind what is a terrible thing and can be bad for a lot of people. You know, I'm quite passionate about it. I don't know if you can tell, but like I really am very, very passionate about it, and I think if anyone can be helped, and everybody deserves to be helped, and there's no reason why anyone shouldn't be helped. So, you know, just be nice to each other. See, if you see someone looking down, go and say, hey, what's up? You know, if you haven't heard from your mate for a while, give him a ring and say what's going on.
Yeah, good advice there for sure. We should always definitely reach out, and even if you're wrong and everything's fine, at least that person knows now that you're watching their back, that you've got that you got their best interests in heart. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So
totally.
That's always good stuff as well. All right, now, tell us a funny podcasting story. It might be a disaster, or it might be like an amazing experience that you had, or it might be, did you record a live podcast somewhere that was kind of curious, kind of cool?
Well, I can bear it in right. So going back to the beginning again, I started doing like a Facebook Live for my bar. It isn't necessarily podcasting, but at the this is Philip Riddick. This is Daddy Cooks again. So I was like, oh yeah, come on to my barbecue show, to my barbecue Facebook group. We'll have you on as a special guest. You're going to do a draw. It'll all be fine. It'll be good fun because he's very, very he's a funny guy, you know. So we got him on. It was all set up. The program was running, right? Me, like an idiot, I hit a button on my laptop. I'm not really very techie at all. And I sort of froze like this.
Fantastic.
And I couldn't do anything. I was like, oh my God, what have I done? Like, it's like, can you hear me? Like, yeah, we can hear you. It's like, Phil, you got to do something, man. And like, he was just like laughing his head off. He's like, you're an idiot, you know, in his very unique way. But yeah, it was like a complete disaster. It couldn't have gone any more wrong. But another one for a podcast, for an actual podcast thing. Again, this is my fault. I'm not really very techie. Windows update. What should you not do before you do a podcast? I'll tell you something for nothing. A Windows update is definitely something you should not do before you start to do a live podcast. So Marcus was on. I was like, oh, it's all right. I got this little update, Marcus. It shouldn't take long. This was the big Windows update from about 3-4 months ago. I was sitting there, sort of like I hit the update button. I was sitting there sweating, thinking, oh yeah, it'll be done in a minute. Of course, the kids are in, so Netflix is going, and everything else along the way is just sort of like fired up. Charlie started playing Fortnite while watching his phone on Netflix. It's like, it was the slowest Windows update I've ever had to sit through, and it just about finished before I went live. I was like, was down to the second, literally down to the second, and I was so flustered when it come on. I knocked my drink over. It went all over the floor. So I was like, welcome to the BBQ Talks Show. And I was literally, I was covered in beer.
Probably worried that you're going to like electrocute yourself with the beer and all the power cords running across the floor.
Yeah, exactly. I was just, because like where I am, it's like a laminate flooring, so the beer didn't run anywhere. It's just sort of like, I was thinking, I'm covered in beer, I'm on a podcast, I'm interviewing someone, and I've got to be like, oh yeah, so how's your book going and all that sort of stuff. And I'm thinking, well, I don't think they can see the beer on me, but it's like, sitting there feeling a bit uncomfortable is probably the best way I could put it. It's almost like a yeah, I wouldn't even say, but it was very uncomfortable because it's like a leather chair as well, so it was kind of pulled in where it shouldn't be.
You're listening to the internationally awarded Smoking Hot Confessions podcast with massive barbecue nerd Ben Arnott.
Okay, now Ryan, we're in the third segment of the show, and I just realised that this is something I forgot to word you up about before we went live. This is the part of our show where our guests share some wisdom, share some knowledge, and give us a bit of a lesson in something that they're a bit of an expert in. So I'm going to throw the studio over to you. You can share some tips and techniques. It might be, how to build a drum, how to best cook on a drum, a particular protein, or if you want to talk about something else in the world of barbecue that you know a lot about and you'd like to share some ideas on.
Oh, geez. Thanks for the heads up. So, yeah, if what could I say? So we've kind of touched on the drum earlier. Like, the drums are easy, but they're not easy to build, but you need to be a little bit handy. So let's go down the cooking route. I'd say, trim. Let's go for trimming and breaking down meat. I'd say, don't be scared to take off too much fat. If you're for instance, again, short ribs, we've touched on that a little bit. So a lot of meat marbled into that short ribs, and certainly over here, this is going to be, it's sort of like difficult to translate it over to different countries. So I don't know how your meat is, but certainly don't be afraid to take a lot of the hard white fat off on briskets as well. Cut all of that stuff out because it's not going to cook down. It's not going to be tasty, and it's not going to do you any good. Make sure you get rid of all of your silver skin on whatever you're cooking. So pork butts, cut the skin off, take the silver skin off, get rid of the skin on top of the pork butt because it's not really going to do you any good. The rubs won't penetrate through. So when you're preparing your meat, make sure you've got a nice meaty finish on. That sounds a bit weird, but no fat, no silver skin, nothing. So you can get your rubs all penetrated into your meat. Another thing is, people say you got to get your meat out and let it sit on the side. No, you don't. You take it out the fridge, you put your rub on, let your rub work for about 20 minutes, get it in the smoker. The colder it is, the more smoke you will take on because smoke gets attracted to cold and wet things. So when you put your cold, wet meat into the smoker, guess what's going to happen? It's going to taste more smoky. That's what we want because we're smoking meat. So when you're putting your meat into your smoker, make sure it's cold and wet and not dry and warm. Would probably be a good bit of advice because obviously you got to keep your meat at a reasonable temperature because you might get sick if it's too warm. But it will taste better. How is that for some advice? Keep your meat cold and wet, not warm and dry.
Very good. That's a good tagline. You should put that on a t-shirt.
There you go.
Mate, with all that hard fat that you trim off, do you keep it and use it for anything? Do you melt it down to make tallow, or do you just chuck it in the bin?
Yeah, I've smoked some. So I've melted it in the smoker and then put it in the fridge and used it for roast potatoes.
Ooh, tell us more about that.
Well, obviously you can smoke your beef down, that are all rendered down. Well, or smoke the beef fat down, that are rendered down quite easy. Once it's rendered, tip it into a cup. So it doesn't take long. It all depends on what you're cooking on. UDS, it sort of renders down pretty rapid, because they're normally running at around 250, 275. I find it's a natural sort of place. They're quite happy to sit, and you sort of like get a good smoky flavour from a UDS as well, just because the fat is dripping on the plate, and we all know how all that works. So the tallow takes on the smokiness from the smoke being created in the cook. Stick it in a cup and put it in the fridge. Make your roast potatoes. You can use it for anything, but I like the beef fat roast potatoes because I just think they taste so good. They're really rich tasting. And it's pretty old school as well, you know. If you think about it, the dripping, like you all you Australian people, you must have dripping from your beef roast. It's exactly the same virtually. So even if you have like a pan going on underneath your cook, you know, use all of that. It's all good stuff. It's all flavour you can use.
Yeah. So when you actually do go about making those roast potatoes with the beef tallow, do you just do you wait until they're finished roasted and then cut them open and put it inside instead of butter, or are you like basting them with it during the cooking process? How are you actually using the tallow in the potato process?
Oh, sorry. I misunderstood what you meant. So, you know, your roast potatoes for your Sunday roast, yeah. So you'd peel your potatoes, you'd cut them into sizes, reasonable size chunks. Once they're boiled, stick them in a pan and put your tallow on them. So then, like they're your traditional roast potatoes that you'd have with a Sunday roast, but with the smoky flavour from the barbecue. So, and it works depending on what sort of gravy you put with it. It works really well, or like obviously whatever condiments you fancy, or just with barbecue. It's pretty tasty as well, if I'm totally honest. And you can cook all sorts of stuff in it. It doesn't have to be roast potatoes. I've had, what else have I done? I've roasted carrots in it. That's quite nice. Cut them into strips with parsnips. A little bit of honey on the parsnips. Put some beef tallow in with it. So then you're still roasting it. You can do this on the barbecue or in an oven if you wish, whatever. It's just a heat source. It's not really bringing anything to the party. If you've got room on your smoker, do it on your smoker, or if it's hot enough. If not, just bung it in the oven. But you'll still get the smoky flavour which you've put into the tallow from when you've been smoking your chosen protein. You can do it with pork. You can do it with beef. Any fat works. I've not really tried chicken, but to be honest, you don't really get much chicken fat anyway, do you? And if you do, I'd be a bit sort of dubious about using it. If anything that is going to make you sick, it'd be the chicken fat, that's for sure. Yeah, beef or pork works really well.
Very nice, man. Sounds delicious. Now, how long does it keep in that cup in the fridge?
For ages.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Well, it's pure fat. Yeah, so there's nothing nasty in it because everything's been cooked out. So it's got up to a temperature, it's sat there, so it's basically, I wouldn't say pasteurized, but it's kind of whatever's nasty in it, it's been killed from the cooking process. So as long as you keep it covered up, like you put it in a cup or put it into a box, or as long as it's covered, it'll sit there for a month easy. Well, if you can not use it for, like, to be honest, once you make it and you make your first set of roasties, it'd be gone pretty quick. Don't get me wrong, it's really good.
Fair enough, man.
If you can keep it for that long, it'll last.
Sounds good, mate. Sounds good. All right, this is probably a good point for us to start wrapping up the show. So I'm going to throw the studio over to you now. Give some shout-outs, give some thanks to people that have helped you out along the way, and make sure you tell everybody where they can track you down on the internet.
Okay, so first off, I'd like to say thanks to Matt. He's Smoking Cues on Instagram. He's doing the work, as I said, he's doing the work behind the scenes now for the BBQ Talks Show. Also got Tom, he's helped us along the way. He's Barbecue Life UK. We've got Charlie, he was co-host last night, Pickles Barbecue over in the States. Good lad, go check out his channel. We've also got Lep and Cider, they're both on YouTube and Instagram. Go check them out. I'll have to get the link in the show notes because I've just had a bit of a brain freeze. I can't remember the names of their channel. Leprechaun TV and Cider Tablet 2 on YouTube. They're all moderators for our show. So if we're going live, one of them will be in there and they'll be sharing links and helping us out that way. Who else? Phil Riddock, he's been a co-host, so go check out Daddy Cooks on YouTube. He's been really good. You can find the BBQ Talk Show on any platform you look for. TikTok isn't really being used at the moment. I've just taken over Instagram, so I'm going to be building content for that. We've only got 1,000 followers at the minute, so please do go over and click the follow button and like the content I've put up so far. There's not much, but it will grow. Also, we've got a Facebook group and a Facebook page. The Facebook page is where the where the live broadcast goes to, and then it's shared to the Facebook group. So go check that out, give that a follow and a like. We're also on all of the podcast platforms. So just put in barbecue in Spotify. We should pop up pretty close to the top. We're doing all right. So if you want to listen to the past shows with great guests, check that out. I'm not saying it's a great listen, but it is.
Humble plug.
Yeah, absolutely. Come listen. It's good. Everyone's welcome. Also, from my point of view, I've got a YouTube channel called Ryan G's Barbecue and Stuff. Just on 500 subs, I could really do with the help, but then I'm not really making content at the minute, but pop over and you might see something you like. On Instagram, I'm on TikTok. Oh, I'm on TikTok. I'm flying on TikTok. I've got like 1,000 followers already. It's the easiest thing you can do in the world, TikTok.
Wow, okay.
It's so easy to grow. I've said it before, it's the growth area of barbecue at the moment for videos and stuff like that. Make short videos, post them to TikTok. You'll be surprised what they do.
Awesome, mate. Awesome. Well, look, thank you very much for your time. I've loved having you on the show, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Lovely. Thank you, Ben. It's been great talking to you, and take it easy, mate.
And there you have it, family. That was the one and only Ryan Guinea, all the way from the UK, from the BBQ Talks podcast. How good was that? I'm going to go check out TikTok. I do have a TikTok account there. I haven't done much with it. Maybe I'm in a generation that just doesn't understand it. I don't know, but obviously I need to get around it, so I need to get over there and check that out as well. Now, before I let you go, just to remind you of the announcements from the start, the podcast partner program is now well underway, so if you would like to be a part of the show, do reach out to me and we'll have that conversation as well. We've got the free ebook available for you over on the website. We've got the Smoking Hot Confessions barbecue community over on Facebook as well. We are doing the YouTube drive at the moment with our cooking videos being exclusively posted to YouTube, so you can go and check that out. But before I let you go, I just want to say we have mentioned some mental health issues in today's episode. So if you do need help, reach out to Beyond Blue, 1300 22 46 36. Completely free, completely confidential. You can speak to them and they can help you get a plan to help you get through whatever it is that you're going through. So that's about all we have time for today. So until next time, take care of each other and keep on queuing.
Thanks for listening to the Smoking Hot Confessions podcast. Head on over to smokinghotconfessions.com for recipes, tips, and Ben's own confessions.